is Joel Rubin. He's president of the Washington Strategy Group. That's a lobbying and advisement firm. He's also a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is supposed to go to this event and represent the Trump administration. The U.S. president saying he may reconsider that decision. Should they have already pulled out?
They're waiting too long right now. This is a full-blown political crisis, Mike, and Washington is in a turmoil about Saudi Arabia. Lobby firms are leaving Saudi Arabia as a client. The Washington Post is writing editorials and articles every day criticizing Saudi Arabia. So if Steve Mnuchin does pull out, doesn't go, it'll look like the Trump administration is waiting till the final moment to quit, not really leading as they should be.
You wrote an op-ed piece this week. You described this as a perfect storm. For the people who didn't have a chance to read it, give us your take on all of this.
Certainly, it's a perfect storm because so many different trends about Saudi Arabia are coming together at the same moment. There have always been concerns about Saudi Arabia regarding human rights, regarding religious tolerance at home, regarding the war in Yemen, where Congress has been very concerned about its activities there and about military assistance from the U.S. to Saudi Arabia. Now, that's been bubbling, but with this Khashoggi affair, with this situation, it's really overflowed the system in a sense. And really now critics of Saudi Arabia feel very emboldened to speak out. And it's making all of Saudi relations with the United States go under the microscope, including the White House's relations between Jared Kushner and Mohammed bin Salman. That likely will become a subject for a Democratic Congress if Democrats win the House.
And you used the word emboldened. There's a lot of people who feel as though he felt he was emboldened because of this relationship, this special relationship with Jared Kushner. A lot of people saying that the Trump administration was rather naive in their dealing with Saudi Arabia. Is that a fair assessment?
It's hard to see anything but that being the case. A sort of a moral hazard, as they say, regarding Saudi behavior. They may have felt that they had a blank check to do what they want in the region. Certainly, they felt that way towards Yemen, felt that way towards Qatar and the Gulf crisis. And if that is the case here with Jamal Khashoggi as well, it will look like a reckless foreign policy that Saudi Arabia is pursuing without any real supervision or support from the United States to say, maybe you shouldn't do that, maybe you should hold back on your worst tendencies. It's good for you to not be as aggressive as you are. And so the White House is not helping Saudi Arabia in this case.
You used to work in the State Department. You know a lot about optics. Perception is reality. Did it help the State Department? Did it help the administration to see Mike Pompeo kind of grinning and smiling? Does it help the administration with, a lot of people saying that Donald Trump himself trying to give them cover, saying it might be rogue elements, saying, this is another case of them being presumed guilty rather than innocent, what he said to the Associated Press. All of this together, how do you see it?
The message from the White House is very confused. It's all over the place. There's nothing consistent about it. And Mike Pompeo, when he was a congressman, Congressman Pompeo would never have tolerated this kind of behavior from the State Department. He was one of the leaders of the Benghazi investigation. He was very critical of the State Department at the time of President Obama. He essentially said that the United States needed to get its act together. So to see him over in Saudi Arabia, shaking hands and smiling for the cameras, that would have been something that as a congressman he would have been very critical of.
We keep focusing on Washington, D.C. Let's flip the page. Riyadh, what do you think's happening there in terms of how they're going to try and deal with this?
Well, a lot of palace intrigue right now. The ambassador to the United States, Mohammed bin Salman's brother, was recalled back to Riyadh. There are questions about Adel al-Jubeir. What is he thinking? He has been very quiet publicly. And one doesn't really know where the king will come out on this. If this continues to be a thorn in the side of relations between Riyadh and Washington, not just the Trump administration, but Washington and Congress, then it could be a decision point for the king to decide whether he'll cut his losses, how long will he stay with Mohammed bin Salman, or will he continue to push back against this and hope for a better day, which doesn't seem very clear like it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, this has been about 14 days, and it doesn't seem to be going away. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Joel, thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thanks, Mike.